Hey everyone, it is Nicole again. Sorry, it's been quite a while since I filmed a video. I think my last one was probably my May wrap-up. I did film a video like last week for the mid-year book freakout tag, but I really didn't like the way it came out, so I didn't end up uploading it. I might try to do that tag again. It was just really hot that day, and my brain was like not working, and like it was just kind of boring to watch. So I didn't want to have to put you guys through that. So I've read not too many books this month. I finished school in the beginning of June, and then I got a new job, and I just got an IUD on Friday, so it's been a fun month. But I have read some books, so a lot of these are from the library, as it usually is. Alright, let's get into the books. Okay, so the first book that I read this month, which feels very, very long ago, was Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana Enriquez. Sorry, I don't know why I just blanked on how to pronounce words. Mariana Enriquez. And the translator is Megan McDowell. It's a collection of short stories from Argentina, and this is her first time being published in English, I believe. And they're all pretty dark, and they have elements of magical realism, and a lot of them are dealing with how the country has kind of changed since its years of freedom. I don't know too much about Argentina's history, but I know that it's been through a lot. And yeah, so most of the protagonists in these stories are the same age as the author, who's fairly young. I would say like late 20s, early 30s probably. And kind of about that generation and how they've grown up in Argentina. I actually read this for a real-life book club that my friend goes to, and she told me they were reading this book and I already wanted to read it, so I picked it up from the library. A lot of people in the club didn't like this book. I think mostly because it had a lot of elements of magical realism, and if that's not your style, then you're not really going to like this book, but I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously some were like stronger than others, and yeah, I don't want to go into the details of too many of the stories just because it's like better, they're so weird, and it's better to experience them without kind of knowing anything about them. But just know that they are dark, and there are some really gross things that happen in some of them. But yeah, I liked that a lot. And then I read a book of poems called The Art of Excavation by Leilani Tamu. The author is actually she did her PhD in like island studies and like island cultures. I think she did an anthropology, and these poems kind of came out of that research. And I didn't know that before I started reading it, but it definitely makes a lot of sense. It's not like the best poems. She's definitely like an academic who's writing poems, so a lot of them are kind of a little stiff, but they're all about different island nations. But yeah, they were definitely very academic sounding, but it was interesting to learn of the cultures, and there was a lot of lines about the land and kind of the landscape. It's called The Art of Excavation, so it's about like taking away cultures and taking away land, and I thought that was very interesting, but I think it could have definitely been done in a more artistic way, but it was definitely new subject matter for me, and I liked that a lot. And then the next thing I read, I just read a bunch of comics, so if you're not into comics, you can just skip this section. Because, yeah, I just wasn't really in a reading mood for some reason, but I wanted to read a bunch of comics. So I read Lumberjanes and Gotham Academy Volume 1, which is this weird little crossover of Lumberjanes, a story about a bunch of ladies at a summer camp for adventurous girls, and Gotham Academy, which is about, it's in the Batman universe, and it's like a boarding school for kids, and like some of them have powers. Yeah, so it's kind of like the perfect crossover, just because they're similar ages, both kind of adventure stories with like mystery aspects, but I wasn't super into the plot. It was like just okay. And something about the art I just was not into. I mean, obviously, I'm not an artist, I can't draw, but there was a lot of scenes where like background people like wouldn't have faces or just be like the shape of a head, and it just felt like kind of like it was really rushed. And the story was like fine, but I would rather just read the two separate books. I like Lumberjanes better, and this kind of made me realize why. But yeah, that if you like Lumberjanes and Gotham Academy, it's a match made in heaven. And then I read Pretty Deadly Volume 2, The Bear, which apparently is the last published thing of Pretty Deadly, which was upsetting to discover. Kelly Sue DeConnick is a great writer, but she's very, very slow about coming out with comics, and it's a bit upsetting. She also makes Bitch Planet, so if you read either of those, you know what I'm talking about. But I got Pretty Deadly from the library a couple weeks ago, and I just saw it there, and it was like, people talk about this and tell me to read it, so I'll read it. But I loved it so much, and I actually bought the first volume at my local comic shop the other day, just because I wanted to own it. They didn't have the second one, and then I put Pretty Deadly on my pull list for whenever the next issue comes out. But this is like a dark western with like mythological elements, and the art is beautiful, and there's a bunch of really cool ladies in it, and it's pretty graphic if you're not into that, but I'm into all of those things, so it's kind of the perfect book for me. Alright, and then I read a bunch of single issues, and I actually got them out for y'all tonight. Today, it's not nighttime yet. So, just because I'm always too lazy to get them. So I read Monstress... Shit, I think I got the wrong one. Well, Monstress 12. This is Monstress 11, but I mean, I'm already sitting in here, so. But this one, how did I feel about this one? Oh, this one was good. I think it just finished an arc. I mean, I can't really talk about these because, I mean, it's pretty far in the series, and unless you're reading the issues, you're going to be pretty behind if you're just reading the volumes, because I think there's still only the first volume out, which is like 5 issues. So, but anyways, I like the arc that just happened, so that was cool. I want to look through this, but it's the wrong issue, so I can't even do that. We're getting to learn a little more about Micah and her past, and I'm into that. So then I read Saga 43, and this is a special 25-cent issue because it's the 25th anniversary of Image Comics. So this issue is 25 cents, and it's supposed to be like a sort of intro issue, which, like, I don't know, I didn't really get that vibe, but things are interesting. Can't really talk about this one either. So this is issue 43, pretty far into it, but some interesting things happen. That's all I'll say. And then I read World War Tank Girl, issue 2, and yeah, Tank Girl and all her friends take some magic mushrooms and transport to World War II, and they're killing Nazis. And I mean, I just want all my favorite characters to transport to World War II and kill Nazis, because it's wonderful. And yeah, like, I love the design of it, and like makes it look really old, and even like the paper feels different, so that's fun. And then I have Paper Girls issue 14 and issue 15, and they just finished up an arc in this one as well. I think he's taking a little break for the summer. Brian K. Vaughan, who makes Paper Girls and Saga. He is different than Kelly Sue DeConnick. He is so on top of coming out with his issues. Hi, Maggie. Maggie's resting on the ground. But yeah, I wasn't super into the arc that just finished, but I'm excited to see where it goes. He's a great writer, so. And then Kelly Sue DeConnick again with this one she actually didn't write. This is Bitch Planet triple feature. So basically they're really behind, obviously. It's been like almost a year since the last Bitch Planet, I think. No, that's not true. But they had one a couple of months ago, but I think before that it had been like almost a year. But so she's taking a break to focus on that, and hopefully Pretty Deadly too. And now that she's just coming out with these series of like 3 short stories that are in the world by different people. I don't know how coming out with more things is going to speed up the process, but we'll see. I'm fine with it, and these stories were pretty interesting to see the world that is not on Bitch Planet. This story is about in the future where women who are not compliant, who don't act like ladies, are sent to a prison world called Bitch Planet, and yeah, it's about that, but this is about other women that are on Earth that aren't in the system. Yeah. Then I read Harrow County Volume 5. I know, most of these I can't talk about. Do you want me to open the door for you? Okay. Here you go. Okay, but Harrow County Volume 5, The Abandoned. This is Volume 5. I can't really talk about it that much, but I liked it a lot, and my partner is finally catching up with me because he had only read the first volume, and I was like, I really want to talk to you about some stuff that happened. He hasn't read this one yet, but he read up to Volume 4. So that's exciting because this is great. They keep doing this thing where Tyler Crook doesn't do all the art, and I'm like, I don't like it because his art is so amazing with his watercolors, and they're so beautiful, but I'm sure it takes a really long time. So that's probably why I come out with them sooner than later. After that, I just have one more comic, I promise. I read Boundless by Jillian Tamaki, and this is part of the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month book club that I talk about a lot. This is one of my favorite authors, Jillian Tamaki, who did Skim, This One Summer, Super Mutant Magic Academy, and she does a lot of those with her cousin. I forgot what her first name is, but she's also Tamaki. Mariko. And her other cousin is also like a famous artist, and it's like they just have the most talented family. But this is a collection of short stories in graphic novel form, which I don't know if I've ever read that before, and it was great. Her art is like really interesting. It's probably not everyone's style, it's like pretty simple, but I liked her use of color in this one. She kind of just will just use one color for things, and yeah, it was just kind of cool to see different stories that she told. Not all, it's like with every short story collection, you're not gonna jive with all of them, but I like that a lot. Maggie, come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Oh, okay, bye. Then I read Windwitch, which is by Susan Dennard, and it's the second book in the Witchlands series. The first book is Truthwitch. I really liked Truthwitch a lot. I wasn't expecting to like it. I don't really like YA fantasy, but their friendship was super cute, and it was like an interesting world. I didn't like Windwitch as much, mostly because they're not together. I don't really think that's a spoiler. And there's more POVs, which I don't really like. And yeah, just some of the stories, there's a lot of like boring parts in it where just like not that much was happening, and Merrick, the Windwitch, did some really annoying things, especially with the trans character that's in there. I mean, it was like in his thoughts, but it kind of felt like it was the author saying those things. I don't know. But hopefully that's fixed in the next book. I will definitely read the next one. It's a fun series. And then I had been listening to You Can't Touch My Hair and Other Things I Still Have to Explain by Phoebe Robinson on audiobook for like a month because I'm super slow. Yeah, this is Phoebe Robinson is a comedian. She has a show with Jessica Williams, Two Dope Queens, a podcast. So it was nice to listen to this on audiobook because obviously she is a comedian and her words come across when she speaks out loud. And I feel like there was some stuff that was added into the audiobook, but I don't know because I didn't have the physical book with me. But I thought this was going to be a lot more about microaggressions and being a black lady in the US, which like it had stuff about that, but not really anything I didn't already know. There was a lot of references to like actresses and movies, but it wasn't like she's not that much older than me, like she's maybe 10 years older than me. And it wasn't like a generational gap, it was just like not the sort of things that I watch, like a lot of romantic comedies that I just didn't know anything about, and so a lot of that just kind of went over my head. But she's a good audiobook narrator, so that was fun. I mostly just had been on hold for this for like ever, so. And then I have the last book which I have with me, and that one is No One Can Pronounce My Name by Rakesh Satyal. And this was the Muse Monthly book for May, I believe. And it is a literary fiction novel about a couple different people living in Cleveland. The two main characters, one of them is an older Indian woman whose son has just gone to college, and she writes paranormal romance in secret and doesn't tell her husband, and she thinks he might be having an affair, and just kind of about her life. And then the other character is this older Indian man whose sister has just died. We don't really know why or how, and his mom's really upset about this, and he actually dresses in a sari and pretends to be his sister. And you're kind of not sure, I mean, he's like a virgin and isn't married, so you're like, is this his expression of his sexuality, or is this just something he's doing for his mom? And then there's a couple of other side characters, a couple of whom are Indian, and a couple of whom are queer, so that was pretty cool. I liked his writing a lot. It was really easy to get into and very captivating, kept my attention, even though it's pretty long, it's like 400 pages. He did some stuff where it was like alternating between the different characters, and sometimes that was a little rough, the transitions between it. This is his second novel. The first one is more autobiographical, so I think this one he had to do a bit more research for the different characters, especially the ladies. And the ending kind of wrapped things up a little too neatly for me. I'm more into more open endings. But it was like a very happy and like sweet book, and you know, sometimes you just kind of need that in your life. So I recommend this if you like any of those things. Also, she wrote like the paranormal romance she wrote was like involved like Indian myths and like Indian culture, and I'm like, where is that? Because I would totally read that. So I'm tired of all like the boring paranormal fiction, but I would read that one. So Rakesh, you should write her fiction. Do like a fangirl sort of thing and write the book that she wrote. But anyways. Okay, my camera's about to die, but those are all the books that I read in the month of June. Thank you for watching, And let me know what you read this month, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!